Good morning, everybody. This is Pete Dahlgren. We're building Mirror Smiles F86, and basically what I'm doing here now is I actually went through and I finished the bottom of the wing. Okay, it's done. It is sheeted. Looks good. Everything is working great. Anyway, the main thing I'm doing now is I'm working on the leading edge and some cap seals. And when I did this, I got in a little bit of a hurry and I wasn't paying attention. And I put some dings and dents in my leading edges and stuff. And this is not a big deal, okay? But I will tell you this, I did not sand the final shape of the swing on purpose. And what I will do now is I will get it and I will soak it with Windex. And just plain window cleaner, getting this top sheet wet. And all these dents that are in here will pop right back out. It's got a memory. I had some debris on the table when I was doing the sheeting, and when I started blocking it out, I realized I was rubbing material into it. But while I'm here, in the spots that didn't get all boogered up, basically what I'm doing here now, guys, is I'm going through and I'm aligning all these panels. And how I do this with I've talked about these cap seals, which I did. The gap seals are done on most of it. But I've got a lot of sanding to do on this, and you'll notice I got the wing tank bolted on, and I'm actually just test fitting it on to make sure that all the bolts lined up that I put in the thing and before I actually sheet this. And it actually does look actually pretty cool. And it is solid. This is just loose fit on here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue in some paper tubes in the bottom of this now and get them set up so that everything's kind of in where it needs to be. And I got a little ahead of myself on these. I already did it on this other one, but the main thing is the screws are very long that go in to the actual part, and you got to kind of pay attention to those a little bit. And I don't have them tight because it's pretty important that we fix this up to where this is actually where it needs to be, and there's a little bit of shimming to do it, and I'll talk to you as I do this because you actually need to have the bottom wing sheeted, and you don't necessarily have to do it, but I'm thinking that you're going to find out that there's a couple spacers and washers that go underneath where it actually bolts up that it probably should have, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about on that, and then we'll go ahead and get these all done and prettied up, and we'll build them. They won't take that long. I'm going to use some bigger sheets on this. I used some 1/4 inch to get a lot of this stuff going so the planking looks a little better. But I do not have it all glued in, as you will notice. I've got parts just kind of fitting in there. And with planking, you just kind of want to make sure all these pieces fit. So when you're pushing them in, they'll just actually kind of stay there. Don't worry about the excess on that. You just push them in. When you glue them in, then they will actually kind of lubes it a little bit, and you guys know this by now. But anyway, what I'm doing is actually getting this, and then I'm gonna glue on the leading edge piece and the wing tips on this one, and I'm gonna do exactly the same procedure. And what I'm gonna do here now is I'm actually gonna set the camera up here so that I can actually take the wing off and actually show you guys some stuff. And hopefully you can see this. I don't know. It looks okay. We'll live with this here for a second. And I need a clamp. I've got one right here for this. And basically what I'm telling you guys now is that the wing will come apart fairly easy. You got to be very gentle at any given point because you're going to be shooting that line from all the way down here. But basically what I'm doing now is because I've got to take these surfaces off. I'm going to hold these pretty much tight. And then I'm going to block them out to actually fit the contour of the wing. And this one can actually be cut straight off, but it's going to have to be done. You may have to do a little bit of fill work in this, but really no big deal. It's all finished sanding at this point, and I just want to, now the main thing is I want to show you, because I'm going to wind up breaking this wing off. That would be bad. I don't want to order a new wing kit. So anyway, basically, what I'm doing here, guys, I'm actually removing the wings because I'm going to get ready to do this other one. And while I'm waiting on wood, I'm going to start doing some riveting. And basically as a whole, I don't know if you can see or not, but anyway, as a whole, I'm going to show you pretty much a lot of this, but in other ways I'm not going to. Your sheeting capabilities are going to be whatever you make of them. Now, taking the wing is really off, no problem, and it's pretty important that you have tables and actual fixtures that you can actually work with. And this wing does come on, and if you don't bolt it off, it's actually not too terribly bad. Now, I would urge all of you to keep your, at this point, a lot of our work on the airplane is actually pretty much done. It's just little things. And it's pretty important that you do fit the wing on here after you sheet it, just to double check it. And keeping it straight can be a pain in the butt. It really can. But the one thing is that I will tell a lot of you guys right now is that I just put these on loosely so I can take them off and on and check them. But what I'm going to do right now is actually remove these pods. And then I'm going to modify these to take, the screws I'm using for these are actually pretty damn long. And what I want to do is I want to put a screw keeper on these so they don't come all the way out. Now, they don't need this to be through the threads just a little bit. And these are very, very, very long screws, by the way. So what I want to do is make these so that a standard length screwdriver can just go in and actually hold them in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line drill out a dowel, and then I'm going to wrap it in a paper tube in it, and I'm going to do the same thing on both, which means that other one's going to have to be done. Now what I want to do here is I'll use a dowel for this and your toilet paper, or toilet paper. That'd be interesting, huh? Anyway, what I want to do here, guys, I'm going to do a line or on a piece of dowel right in here and glue them in. And I've got some dowel. Now that I've reorganized the shop a little bit, I can kind of show you what I'm doing. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a dowel, which just works extremely well, and I will drill these out to take this, and I will take a tube, I will take this and I will line drill this, and then put the bolt through it and actually glue it down and make a couple of brackets for it to hold that in place in there, and I'll show you after I'm done. But the main thing is getting all this, getting these kind of drilled out. Let's use a bit, get them out, drill them out a little bit, put a paper tube in there, and then I'll actually make this, put it down, use the tube in here so that the screw does fall out or overdo it. It's easy to put it back in. And it took me a little bit of thinking to do, because these screws do not have to be all that long. And I'll just make them so they barely take it out, and it'll be, yeah, it'll be fine. But that's all part of the building thing and done, and it's just what I'm doing. Other you guys have other ideas. Now I'll grab the camera and we'll show you what I got going here. a little bit. I've explained crossing the grains a lot. I hope you guys saw a lot of that. And as you guys know, I don't edit my videos. I just put them on here. Basically what I'm doing is getting everything fit up. And this took me some time. But all I'm doing right now, and it doesn't look all that great right here, but once you sand it off, you'd be hard pressed to find the pieces. And basically what I've done is I planked this in. And how I've done that is I run two this way. I run one the full length, I run the second this way, and then I run 3 runs this way, and then these are full runs down here. There's no chance this wing will, it's not going to break. It's strong as hell. And then I have other things I'm making for other things, and this works real well, of course. Now, the one thing I'll tell you guys is that these are extremely strong, and I'm gonna build these up a bit so that if my gear decides it doesn't want to come down, that I can actually land on these pylons if I ever had to, without destroying the wing. And I showed you guys before where I actually shimmed up the bracket, but you do have to be absolutely careful. I'll show you the other wing what I'm talking about, because it's just something I did and I forgot to show you guys. But if you're not using the wing pylons, that's fine. And of course I've got other pieces that need to be glued in. And these are some pretty long screws. Now this is all out. Of course these have not been glued out because those are not finished. Now what I've done here is I've marked all my holes, and what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to grab a bit and I'm just going to chase these holes out a little bit. And I don't know what I've been told. It already has no, so. But anyway, basically what I'm doing now, guys, I'll do this by hand. Get a nice round hole. I could run a drill bit in this to do this, but this is how I did this. And if I have to fill that and touch it up a little bit, that's fine. Those are the holes that I'll use for the pylons. And then, of course, I've opted not to put T-nuts behind these because these bite extremely well. They fit real nice and tight and they're good. Now, I've talked about how I installed the cap seals on this, and I'll do this on the other side of the wing. But what we want to do here now is, now that we're sanding this wing, I'm going to show you just how easy and fast it goes. And it's like I said, I'll turn this over. I got to go get a blanket. Now, everything I do on this, after this is done, and then I will dismantle everything and start prepping it for glass. And it's not a real big deal, and but you want to make sure you have everything done. We still have wing tips to do, and this and that and the other. Now, these pieces will sand off. I will fill them where anything kind of boogered up. I will fill them. I will do this. I will fix these up with the glass, make these nice, and then these parts will actually, in fact, look really good. I'll sand them up, trim up, get them all done, and there. These are the wheel wells that I actually did sand out. Got a little bit more to go. That's okay. Got a good day's worth of sanding on this before we start glassing the wings. Got wing tips to make. And I've run a lot of things wild. We also got to fill this up, and I want to add a little bit more right in here. Just a 30-second is all I'm going to add to this. And I'm doing it more for a durability factor on here, and I'll just go in there and put that right in. And then I'll sand all this off, and then I'll just come back with some more of the scrap, and I will just put it in this way. I'll just cut it and make it fit. And then when this tip is actually done and wild, it'll only come out to approximately a 1/4 inch on that. If you look on the end, these match up pretty well. So what we will do is we will shoot a line all the way across this, and I've already done it on here actually. And then we will make this work. And then flip it over, we'll do the cap seals, get everything else done, and it'll look just fine. There are some things I'm going to be doing after it's glassed, and we're not done. I mean, the wheel wells and all that are going to need a little bit, and that's fine. Of course, that you guys know the story behind this and that. And I don't know how I did that, but I did it. And these are going to have to be cut down a little bit. I made them a little bit longer so they'll fit in there better. And I do want to loop them. And how I'll do that is I will actually just take and make a loop, tape it, and just simply tuck it in to the wing. And this is what I'm going to do. I want a little extra line in case I ever have to remove the geared work on it. And these are all little preliminary things that are going. And it looks kind of rough when you get out here. And when you feel it, you do feel it. But when you get over here, it's like, oh boy. But you don't want to over sand this. Do not over sand your wings, guys. And one thing is, if you have to do a little bit of filling, do it now and then be done with it. I will do it. And in conjunction, if you do want to make these wings a little bit stronger when you're doing your glassing, you could actually run a strip of carbon fiber down here if you really wanted to do that. But you want to do it on the spar lines in here. You want to do it on all the spar lines. And I'm going to show you on the other wing here because it has not been done, but this is a direct after effect after looking at this one. This one has not been touched yet, but by the end of the day, it will. Now, one thing I want to bring to everybody's attention on these wings is these parts right here. If you over tighten them, you'll crush them. And so it's one of these deals. I showed you guys all these in the previous videos, but I am shimming these up, and I showed everybody all that on the last part of the videos. But it's also very important that we come back in. This has to be sanded. We're adding a lot of materials in here. And I'm telling you, once you're done, you're going to have one incredibly strong airplane. These airplanes are strong as hell. And so I want to just bring up, I think I did this one actually first. I did the other one second. I finished the second one first because it was handy and I grabbed this first one I grabbed. Again, you're going to need to double check these. You're going to have to set them up and have a plan when it comes to putting the servo boxes and everything else in there. Make sure that you're having some plans on everything you're doing. There's a lot of work here, guys. And that's why I like to plank all this stuff out as I go, because there's a lot of fitment issues in this thing. They're not that big of a deal. But when you're done, you're going to have a very nice, clean setup in here that's going to be very easy to work with. And the main thing is make sure you're building this wing so that when you do sand it, it's going to look like this. And it really does not take that much time. And I could probably sand this live if you guys really wanted to do this. I could show you. But these I did glue in. I will actually glass all this area in here. And when I take the flap and all the servos out of it and everything else, I will take and drop them back in. I will fill everything up, do all my filling and everything else that I got to do on this. There won't be a lot of fill on this one. And it turned out really nice. So this is also one thing I want you to notice before I sand it, is because I've got two strips and you can see them down here. They run this way. And the reason I did that, and you'll notice also, we talked about the hardwood floor areas, okay? None of these joints ever line up on any of the wings, okay? They just don't. And if they do, they're quite a ways. Now this was a booger I did, and that's why I'm telling you guys, you need to figure out on these things and be fitting these before you get too crazy. I actually broke a bolt off the back of there. I got one stuck and cross-threaded, and again, that was my own damn fault, but it was fixable, so I did cut a little spot in there to actually fix it, but I did beef it up right there, so that's not a big deal. And it was one of those deals where if I ever have to get in it, if I ever did screw anything up, I would either leave it and cut the bolt off or go in and be able to repair it. And that's the beautiful thing about these, is that you can do that. And on the bottom of the wing, it's not as noticeable as a lot of things are. Now we do have a lot of pieces to do. This edge needs to be cleaned up. We need to laminate it for the actual, and we will laminate it for the leading edge. And it's not that much of a deal to do that. I will have to do a little bit of body work on the front of the nose of the fuselage. And that's really no big deal at all. So anyway, and as I told a lot of people, I got a lot of linkages done. These are ready to get a final sanding and repriming and panel lines. I've got a long ways to go on a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, I've accomplished quite a bit. And we are nearing the end of the actual building of the jet. And it's like I said, I'll show you guys pictures of this as I go, just as a recap. And if I find anything different, it's good, but it'll be a couple days before I have the wood to do that anyway. And I think one of the biggest things is just keeping everything as neat as you possibly can, making sure that you have all your servos, all your hardware, all your stuff done, and making sure you're having it. Now this is removable, and all you can do is take these two screws out, and you can push it out, and then I got to glue these in to place. And I can still put my MPX connectors, because I did leave a lot of wire. Now a lot of guys have caught me on one thing I did do too, is because I didn't know whether I was going to run air or electric brakes, I forgot to put the air line in for the brakes. And that's not a huge problem, because I can still come in and I'll put what I will do is I will actually put it in here. I will actually drill a hole in there, put it through there, or put it under through here, and I can actually go through, and I will make a small 1/8 inch take an 1/8 inch drill, and I will drill that so that this can come in and go through, and I can reach these with a drill. And I intend to run them through under here so that this tube does not hit them, but they will be drilled in there, and then I will glue a tab right in here, and that makes that very accessible. And had I thought about that in hindsight, I would have run my air lines the same way through there. So, and it'll cut down on having to have a lot. But if I ever have to replace an airline, I'm kind of screwed, because these are nice now, but down the road, if those ever get tangled up, and if you look through the wing, you can't really see anything in there, but you can actually fish these through. And one thing is getting them set up to where they're actually done and right is kind of up to you as the individual. Now what I can do here for lighting, and I may just go ahead and do it, is I may move this forward a little bit, and actually come back in and put one more MPX connector for all this stuff. And the reason I like to do that is because these just plug in. It simplifies it. The wing bolt is aligned right. It does work really well. And anyway, just getting to the end of the wing build on this one here, the second one will go extremely fast because I know exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And one thing I want you to do is, if you do your wing this way, look in here. Once this glue sets up and it actually dries, fellas, there's no moving it. It is extremely strong. There's no soft spots in it anywhere, and that's something you got to look for. And that's why I like to plank these out. I know all that stuff is dry. It's dried overnight. I just walk away from it, come back, and bam, done. So I think one of the biggest deals is take your time, make sure you're doing everything you're doing right. And then once you're done, you're going to have one beautiful airplane. I mean, I've enjoyed building this airplane. It's almost a shame that it'll be done here, that the most of the building will be done here in just a few days. And the woodwork is done. You know, it's one more wing. It'll go from that to that, make the wing tips, start wiring it up. And this airplane will be probably ready to maiden. You know, I'll probably be able to maiden flight this thing in a month. It's just all the details that are going to take the time. And that is just something that I've already showed you guys on how we're going to do it. I've already discussed the glassing and all of this. Now, I may throw some progress reports, but now that the wing is actually done, there's only going to be 2 more episodes after this. And the reason being for it is, and they will not be woodworking or glassing or anything else. Basically, the end of the build is here. We're going to mount the landing gear. We're going to set up some things for what we got. And then I will actually go to Facebook and I will share this with the Mears Models F86 builders. But you guys know exactly how to build this airplane now. We are going to discuss the mounting of the retracts, and then I'm going to show you the nose gear whenever it gets here, and that will be the final episode. The wiring is completely up to you. I mean, I've showed you basically everything that you need to know to build this airplane. I will show some we'll show some flying videos and all this, but we are actually going to call this good on the YouTube experience. I've enjoyed myself tremendously. And this is something that I am very sad to say is that we're done with the video series pretty much. And the rest of it's going to be up to you to finish it. I've covered just about everything you guys could possibly ever want and know. Everything that I've shared in my experiences is already there, and it's here in a year's worth of videos. And other than just a few other little things, we may have maybe 2 episodes left. But guys, they're going to be very short videos, and I want to big heartily thank you. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to leave this series on YouTube for all of the references you need, because this will help you build any of the Mears Jets aircraft. And it's always going to be here for you guys to come back and revisit and watch. I will even probably watch it to laugh at myself a little bit. But anyway, thank you guys for watching.